Well, hello again, audience. Please welcome as we at Treeberry Memorial Library presents to you Special Delivery. Enjoy. Special Delivery by Jet Wolf. Please visit her Tumblr blog at keyofnetfangirling and keyofnick.tumblr.com. A Sailor Moon fanfic. It had been over 9 months that Chibiusa was late surprised no one. She was Usagi's daughter, after all, a fact that Usagi had only been too keen to remind absolutely everybody, loudly, at any time, and usually with the endearment of this kid, as in, this kid needs to wake the heck up and get out of here! And this kid won't stop kicking my brother! And the ever-charming, I am going to kill this kid! Ray was convinced that Chibiusa was doing it on purpose. That somewhere in the future, she wrested control of the gates of time. Ray pictured Setsuna, tied and bound with thick coils of rope, a handkerchief around her mouth, making high-piercing sounds of protest, while Chibiusa cackled and played with the strings of fate, like a spider with a very specific Odago's prey. Damn, Ray loved that little terror. Right up until the point when Mamo-chan had to leave town, and Usagi became Ray's problem. He tried putting off the meeting as long as he possibly could, but it was for a major computer security contract with a giant American corporation, and as his company's best network designer, Mamoru's presence was absolutely vital. It was a huge step for his company, a huge step for his career, and a huge step out of this country where he loved his wife beyond all possible measure, but good lord, if Chibiusa didn't arrive soon, Mama thought he might have to ask to be frozen for a few hundred years a little bit early. When Mamoru arrived at Ray's apartment with an entire cheesecake, she smiled warmly and invited him inside. She knew what was coming. Mamoru was ragged, that much was clear, and he could doubtless do with a day to himself. She had been expecting it. He had already made plans to spirit Usagi away for a weekend of pampering at the remote spa Makoto swore by. Mamoru would get a day to himself to do whatever it is Mamoru did when he was by himself. Ray and Minako had a bet running, and Ray was sincerely hoping Mamoru wasn't going to go for organizing his sock drawer, and the girls would be treated like gods as they were, but in the comfort of a large group so they could rotate Usagi duty. Because Usagi? Not so much fun pregnant as it turned out. Oh, they thought it'd be great. Circumstances meant that Usagi was thrust into motherhood backward, and as a result, the sensei kind of took it for granted that she was a mother already. The actual pregnancy part was going to be a 9-month welcome home party, they figured. They were unbelievably wrong. It started out as expected. Baby showers and shopping trips to buy adorable clothes with built in. Endless plans for spoiling her and taking her to the park and wondering what her first words would be. Chibiusa didn't have one mother. She had 5. That lasted for the first couple of months. Then biology started kicking in, and it became readily apparent that no, there was only one mother here. One very moody, very uncomfortable mother who was being told she could no longer have things, and now she would have to do things. Like exercise. Balanced meals. Things like not 16 of those putrid green sugar drinks he loved. And as Chibiusa grew, so did Usagi's discomfort. Sleeping, one of Usagi's top 5 favorite things, became a battleground. Then she began to lose bits of herself. Did she still have feet? She didn't know. She sure couldn't see them. The sensei did what the sensei did best, which was support Usagi and give her all the love. But you know, Amara's planet power didn't do much against morning sickness, which was a point Usagi rather barely pointed out one morning when Ray made the mistake of stopping by. But it was Usagi, and if anything earned her a bit of latitude, it was carrying that little pink-haired bumble. And so, Ray graciously accepted Mamoru's cheesecake, and without hearing any details, agreed to help out however she could. And then, in Miss Mamoru's gratitude, she learned he'd be gone for an entire week, over to New York City, and would mind Ray staying at their place, rather than Usagi coming over here. Because he didn't exactly travel well now. Ah, shit. It was only because of Ami's okay that it happened at all, and Ray swore that one day Ami would pay for that. Ami wasn't exactly officially Usagi's doctor, as Ami wasn't an OBGYN, but she really may as well have been, since every single official doctor's follow-up was followed up by a personal exam by the best doctor in the entire universe. Yes, you are, Ami-chan. Stop blushing! And Ami had said that she thought Chibiusa would hold off for one more week, and as far as Usagi was concerned, Ami's word was law. Clearly, what the hell did Ami know? Ami had suggested inducing, suggested it several times in fact. Usagi would have a rare burst of wisdom. Her one or two allotted every year had declined, figuring that the time strain was already a bit of a vicarious thing, and not wanting to force it. Nature would take its course, she said, and Chibiusa would come when she was ready. Apparently, she was ready when they were 50-something miles in the middle of absolutely nowhere, and Mamaru's plane was still a good 20 minutes from returning him home. Their overnight visit to the spa had been a huge success. The expert staff had even made Usagi beautiful, and after a week of Usagi needing constant assurance that she was still beautiful, Ray was deeply appreciative and tipped well. But the constant need for reassurance was just one of the side effects of living with a very pregnant Usagi. Also included were unreasonable food demands at literally every hour. Foot massages. The proud avatar of Mars giving nightly foot massages, that was a mental illness not apt to leave Ray's mind anytime soon. And crying jags that made Ray pine for the tranquility of when she and Usagi had first met. The side effect that Ray came to hate any more than any other were the false alarms. Usagi existed in a certainty that she was going to have this kid at any second, which, to be fair, she kind of was. But the long wait and anxiety left her second-guessing her own body. Absolutely everything was the mystical final signal that Chibiusa was coming. Ray fell for it twice. The first time occurred when she had been in Usagi and Mamoru's house for under an hour. Mamaru was tucked in at the airport, and Usagi had just finished crying about it, and Ray was doing remarkably well dealing with all of this, as she did say so herself. She comforted Usagi, and got her to calm down enough to have some tea. She was just thinking to herself that this was going to be easy. She's Ray-chan. She's got this! When Usagi began repeatedly calling her name with increasing panic, Ray had the car packed with everything she could think of to be of use, and had Usagi in her arms and halfway out the door before Usagi burst and called the whole thing off. After that had been another crying session where Ray had to pinky swear no less than a dozen times that she still loved Usagi, would always love Usagi. No, this didn't change anything. She was fine. Yes, you're very beautiful. Mamoru-san loves you dearly. He'll be back before you know it. I already told you I love you. Yes, you can have ice cream whenever you want. Just stop crying. Usagi napped on the couch. Ray began unpacking the car. She included a VCR. What the heck? After that, Ray decided she needed a plan. Mamoru and Usagi already had their own suitcases prepared for when the moment struck. Ray grabbed a spare and did the same. She repeatedly coached herself on not bringing VCRs with her, as they were unnecessary. She visualized the big moment until she was sure it would go off without a hitch. Then came the second false alarm, and the very less said about that, the better. The end result was Ray in a boy who cried wolf situation, where she simply refused to believe anything at all. Chibiusa herself could have appeared in front of Ray and said, "Hi, I'm ready to be born now," and Ray would have said, "Yeah, right," and gone back to her teleconference. This worked. This worked for the next 16 times. Oh, but that 17th time. "Really, Ray-chan? I think this might be it," Usagi said worriedly as her hand rested on her stomach. Uh-huh. Ray's eyes didn't stop sweeping the room, making sure that they hadn't forgot anything. Mako threw her arm around Usagi's shoulders to squeeze. "So, how you two doing?" She asked, talking directly to Usagi's abdomen.
I think, maybe it's time?
Usagi said, tentatively while chewing her lip. Mako's back snapped and locked her attention. Time? Time? Ignore it, Ray advised Minako. She produced a ginger ale, a packet of crackers from out of nowhere, and thrust them into Usagi's hands.
It feels different,
Usagi said, spraying crumbs from around the handful of crackers he had already stuck in her mouth. Different! Repeated Makoto urgently, like this one word was the highest possible importance, and how could Ray be calm when a word like different was now in play? Ray wasn't impressed. Drink your drink, she simply said, and while Usagi's brow didn't stop making its worried little crinkle, she did as instructed. The door to the room swung open and Minako burst in, followed by Ami. Okay, gang, car is filled and packed. That one guy would not take the hint and ask for my phone number, so screw him. And we are ready to blow this soda stand! Ami eased past Minako, her full attention on Usagi.
Are you okay?
She asked, placing a gentle hand on Usagi's stomach. It's different, Makoto said in a loud whisper, pointedly delivered in Ray's direction. This brought a frown to Ami's expression.
Different how?
Usagi thought for a second, scratching her face.
I don't know.
Because it's not. Trust me, I've been through this. Ray excluded confidence and superiority. She had an entire week to become an expert in all things pregnant Usagi, after all. 20 minutes tops, she'll be fine. But Ami wasn't sure.
Maybe we should just have her see someone here at the resort. Just in case. It's a long drive back to Tokyo.
If we don't leave now, we'll be stuck in traffic for who knows how long and be late picking up Mamaru. Ray countered. As expected, that did the trick.
We're getting Mama-chan!
Usagi crossed her arms and nodded her head firmly, and that was that. Minako slipped in and supported Usagi by the elbow. By the Queen's decree! She announced as she let a giggly Usagi get from the room. Let no one stand between her and whatever crazy-ass hormones are happening all over the place. From out in the hall, they could easily hear Minako yelling at everyone to make way, lest Usagi mistake him for her husband and jumped them right then and there. Mako shook her head and made to follow. Mint, she said as she snatched one from the complimentary, okay, you're leaving, goodbye now, pile on the table for the door.
Are you?
I'm sure, Ray interrupted.
You said you were sure!
Ami accused. I was at the time! Ray yelled back. The two of them knelt on the ground next to the passenger side of Ray's car, where they had pulled as far as off the highway as possible. Ray could absolutely feel the roadside gravel digging into her knees, but it was a distant, irrelevant pain compared to the relentless bone crunching of her fingers. You! Where? Wrong! Usagi punctuated with each word with a sharp intake of breath, and another turn of the vice that had become her grip on Ray's hand. Some distant part of Ray's mind considered that Flame Sniper was not going to be a viable attack for a while. Ami-chan! Ray said in a steady voice that was not the voice of screaming intense agony that she wanted to be using at this particular moment. How is Usagi doing? Ami had her computer out and was using it as unobtrusively as possible, shielding it from the otherwise prying off eyes of the bumper-to-bumper traffic on the highway proper behind them. She punched a few more buttons, and if Ray didn't know better, she'd swear Ami was taking her sweet time. Usagi gasped as another bolt of pain shot through her. Ray! I swear, if I give birth to my daughter on the side of the road, I will go back in time and tear out all the pages of your favorite coloring book! It was odd, as far as threats went. Ray just gave Usagi her most calm, trust me face. She won her first two promotions on that face alone.
He won't,
she promised. Squeezing her eyes tight and wrenching another digit or two out of place at the same time, Usagi growled, "I'll break the crayons too! Rei-chan!" Rei was trying to decide the best course of action to these threats when Ami nudged her. Rei looked over and Ami showed her the computer screen. There was a lot of stuff Rei didn't understand, but she got the gist. Chibiusa was coming. Chibiusa was coming fast. Rei felt a familiar tingle, and she and Ami both glanced up as Mako-chan and Minako burst from the tree line in front of them. The woods followed the highway and provided excellent cover for transforming and checking out the traffic situation at sensei speed. We ran about 2 miles up, Minako reported as Mako circled the car, warily peering in on Usagi. No movement. I don't know what happened, but we're not going anywhere for a while. It's a plot! Usagi panted. It's a plot by some new enemy! You're the king from my mama, John, and dumping pets, and lots of drugs! Mako made the mistake of trying to lend comfort by touching Usagi's shoulder. Faster than anyone had ever seen her move, and this was after more than a decade of seeing Sailor Moon in action, Usagi leaped out, seized Mako's hand. It was a third larger than hers, significantly stronger, yet Usagi had no trouble treating it like a fistful of Play-Doh with her contraction. Makoto mouthed soundlessly at Rei. Rei could only widen her eyes and make tight, rapid nods of wholehearted agreement.
It's not a plot, Usagi-chan,
Ami said without looking up from her computer.
It doesn't important.
It is a plot! I will not forget it! Totally a plot. Absolutely. Minako quickly agreed as she helped upright Ami from where she pitched over. And there will be all kinds of punishing in the name of things, but that's for later. First, we gotta figure how to get you out of here. Usagi responded with pain-guttural noises. I think getting out of here is rapidly becoming not an option. Then she yelped as Usagi's face suddenly an inch away from her own. Makoto's hand was freed and quickly rescued as Usagi grabbed a fistful of Rei's shirt, yanked her forward. You promised! Chaos Rei-chan! Don't make me!
Unless anyone has a better idea, I don't think we have a choice,
Ami said, making sure to position herself behind Makoto this time.
Chibiusa's coming, now.
Minako dropped the word like a stone. All the color drank from her face. It's happening now! Oh god! Mako began to bounce nervously in place. Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god! But guys, it's okay, Rei said, leaning back to peer around the side of the car, as much as Usagi's death grip on her shirt would allow. I've mentally been through this like 16 times. I'm practically an expert.
The important thing is that nobody's panic.
Ami's voice was smooth and tranquil, and totally ignored. Water! Minako exclaimed suddenly. Water! We need water! She said again to Makoto. Yes, water! We need lots of water! Mako dove back into the back seat and pulled out a half-empty plastic bottle, which she thrust into Minako like it was alive, and wanted to kill her with the burden of responsibility for absolutely everything happening today. Water! She announced. It's a human baby, Mako-chan! It does not need more than a swallow or two! I didn't bring any more. I didn't want to have to stop to pee every 10 minutes!
Guys, please, let's just take a deep breath.
Ami's got good advice, Usagi. Just breathe deep. Come on, inhale. So very calm! I can't handle you when you're calm! Ami suddenly found the water bottle in her hands. Fill it! Minako ordered. Then Rei, you boil it! Towels! She suddenly exclaimed. Towels! Makoto repeated, and then again dove into the back seat. There was frantic activity, and when she emerged a second later with a candy wrapper stuck to her forehead. Who the fuck packs towels? I knew I should have stolen absolutely every single towel this weekend! Minako lamented, beseeching the heavens. What does that have to make do? Mako, get Ray's suitcase! Ray popped her head out from the side of the car. Why mine? Your fault, your stuff! Ray's sputters went unheeded as Mako tossed Ray's suitcase on the car roof and popped it open. She reached in and pulled something out. Ha! Soft and absorbent, Mako reported. Minako easily snatched it out of the air and placed it lovingly on Usagi's stomach. Give birth on that! It was crap on Ray anyway! That's my favorite shirt! Ray yelled, but it was now destined for another life as Usagi's favorite handkerchief. She scooped it up and buried her face in it as she burst into tears. Ray tried her best not to look disgusted. She didn't utterly succeed. Mama-chan! He needs to be here! He can't miss Usagi's birth! He just can't! She drew the last word out to about 10 syllables, and then to Ray's unending horror, she blew her nose into her shirt.
I think I have an idea about that.
Ami said it then looked furiously as Minako, once again, she was overrun. Forceps! Minako suddenly exclaimed, having stumbled on another TV burp cliche. Yes! What are they? They're like tongs! Minako pantomiming with her hands, but not getting anything remotely appropriate to a proper salad tong tester. Turned out, she didn't need to be delayed. Oh, I have those! Mako exclaimed with sudden joy at her impending helpfulness. Get them! Get them! Mako pressed to comply and threw her handfuls of Ray's clothes into the air. Ray watched as her pair of underwear was picked up by the wind and smacked into a car windshield several meters away. She steadfastly refused to make eye contact with anybody. Possibly never again. A second later, Mako's head popped out from the trunk. Wait! I don't have them here! They're at home! You know, we're salads! Well, we are boned! Minako said, throwing her hands in the air.
Would everybody please be quiet and listen to me?
Ami yelled. She had been trying for the past several minutes to politely attract everyone's attention. It had gone about as well as expected. Unfortunately, she chose the exact moment when Chaos had decided to piss off for a coffee break to make her dramatic stand, so she was left yelling at the dead silence. Needless to say, she very quickly had everyone's unidentified attention. That Ami wanted to crawl away someplace private and die 1,000 deaths was a given. But that would wait. First,
I have an idea. It'll probably take a bit of us, but I think we can use Sailor Teleport to get Usagi-chan to a hospital.
No way, Ray said. She can't transform right now. We don't know what it'll do to her in their condition.
I mean us. We'll do the teleporting. Usagi-chan will just be a passenger.
Mako frowned. But you always said the four of us don't have enough power to do that alone.
Well,
Ami said, a little more than sheepish.
That was a long time and a lot of power-ups ago.
Her voice dropped significantly in volume.
And to be fair, we only really tried that once.
Wait. You mean all this time I could have been traveling Sesame Express? Visions of endless hours wasted in cars, trains, and planes danced before Minako's eyes. Not the voice! Usagi called from the car. She was done crying and was back into belligerence. Ray's absolutely wondered at which point the nerves in her hands would simply give up and die. Soon, she hoped. Not the point, Minako agreed. Okay, let's try! The relatively short trip from the car to the protective cover of the woods wasn't exactly an easy one. In the end, Mako just scooped Usagi up and carried her, which was rapidly revealed to be a bad idea when Usagi grabbed a handful of Makoto's ponytail and couldn't be persuaded to let go for all the pizzas in the known world. Mako wound up with her hand right at its back at a 90-degree angle, while Minako and Ami led the way. Ray was too busy alternating between helping Usagi breathe and trying to remember how to breathe herself. Was there ever a time when her hand wasn't being squeezed into some non-hand shape? No. Impossible. Those days were myths. Finally, though they were away from prying eyes of motorists, transformed into deep concentration. On the plus side, Ray finally managed to pry her hand away from Usagi with the fervent promise of both impending Mamo-chan and drugs, and being only a few feet away and drugs. On the downside, Minako now had Ray's hand, and if she didn't ease up, they were going to have to take their chances on this teleport thing being with 3 senshi. It was astonishingly simple. "Oh!" was all Ami was able to say when they arrived. Minako rapidly de-transformed and ran to the hospital to get help. And within minutes, Usagi was checked in, lying down and feeling 1,000 times better. Relatively speaking.
If Mamo-chan doesn't get here in the next 5 minutes, I call it a loss!
Usagi swore. Her taxes were getting closer now, and Ray was beginning to wonder if sacrificing her good hand to this next wave was really a great idea.
No, you won't,
Ray said indulgently, then ground her teeth together and swore under her breath as he heard something crunch. Something important that he probably needed. Ray smoothed Usagi's bangs back from her forehead.
Let Mako and Minako are getting him. They'll be here any second.
Ray smiled up at Usagi. Usagi smiled up at Ray for a moment, then brought her clenched hands to her lips and kissed Ray's swollen and red fingers.
Thank you, Ray-chan. Don't thank me,
Ray said. Usagi smiled at that, but Ray wasn't done.
I mean it.
Don't thank me. Not like that anyway. You have an entire lifetime ahead of thanking me, and I don't want you thinking you've gotten that off that easy.
You're so mean,
Usagi said. I know. It was then that Mamoru busted in. His hair was a mess, suit and tie disheveled, and Usagi couldn't have cared less. She let out a cry, and Ray was finally able to extract herself, just as Usagi flung her arms around Mamoru's neck. Ray, Makoto, and Minako all lingered a moment longer, blinking back their own tears as Mamoru prepared Usagi's face with kisses. Then Ami said it was time to begin, and the other 3 hurried out of the room, deciding that this was about as intimate as they were willing to get for one day. A few hours later, in the inner city were standing by the window to Usagi and Mamoru's room. The curtains were back so they could watch the happy family inside. Mamoru had climbed into the bed, and Usagi was leaning against his chest. He had one arm around her, but otherwise his entire focus was the little girl in Usagi's arms. He couldn't seem to look away. He kept gently stroking her cheek with one finger, marveling at the sensation. Usagi, exhausted but too thrilled to sleep now, looked up and saw her senshi. With her free hands, she pointed enthusiastically at Chibiusa, as though saying,
"Oh my God, look what I did today!"
In the hallway, the senshi were cuddled close together, all of them wanting to feel the closeness of the moment. Minako had her arm around Ray, who rested against Minako's shoulder. Ami had threaded her arm through Ray's, and Makoto was loosely hugging Ami's neck and resting her chin on the other girl's head. Ray's hands were bandaged and throbbing dully. Mako had ushered her in to see a doctor, just to be on the safe side. And she'd come away with instructions to keep her hands immobile for a few days, and some anti-inflammatory medication. Her parting gift was some pretty intense bruising, as it turned out. Ray watched the scene inside the room, felt her friends around her, and had no regrets. "They're adorable," Mako said, breaking the silence. "We did good, ladies." "Yes," agreed Ray. Chibiusa gave her first yawn, and Usagi's squeal of delight was so swirled they could hear it outside. "Yes, we did."
"It feels like everything we've been through had been for this moment,"
said Ami. They stood that way for several heartbeats, watching their future queen, and princess and king. Then a thought struck Makoto.
You know, they're young yet, and 1,000 years is a really long time.
You're wondering if they had another kid? Minako asked, and Makoto nodded.
I was thinking that too. I mean, we only ever met Chibiusa, but that doesn't mean she's an only child. It could be that there are several children,
Ami said thoughtfully.
Especially with some of the time theories I've been studying. I believe the future is fluid and changing constantly.
There could be 2, Mako said.
3,
Ami said.
A whole flock of them!
Minako wagged her eyebrows. I mean, the way those 2 go at it, I'm frankly surprised we don't already have an entire brigade of little Usagis running around. This might be round 1. We might be doing this for the rest of our... Huh? Ray had extracted herself from the group cuddle and was all but running for the exit. I quit! She yelled without looking back. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is a spectacular fanfic. And one of the reasons why I do Fanfic Fridays in the first place. Because if you look up Sailor Moon fanfic live reads, you're only going to find some for Pretty Guardian. And not that many for Sailor Moon the anime. What's more, if you do find them, they're usually lemons. They don't respect the friendship, the bonding of the sensei as much as, say, you would find in a good ponyfic. So, I hope you all enjoyed this reading, and Jet, if you do actually listen to this, thank you so bleeding much for this hilarious fanfic. I had to resist laughing the entire read through. Thank you.